Hi, everyone, and welcome back to News in Depth with Supervisor Richard Forster. We were talking about the agenda. Richard, you're going to be talking a little bit about SRA Fire Fees. You want to go into that a little bit?
First, I'll correct you. It's they call it a fee, but even on the notice, even on the notice that went out and on the bill, it's called a tax.
Well, you know, Richard, it's not this because the Supreme Court didn't weigh in on this when it weighed on Obamacare. But basically, it said when the government wants money, it's a tax.
Right. Okay, well, here's the deal. This is a major change that could happen, came out last Friday. I will tell people first, pay your bill, but don't pay your bill until the last week that it's due, or the last day that it's due. But pay your bill unless we come out and give you the information to say it's off the table. Last Friday,
we might not have to pay our bill, or
I don't even want to say.
No,
don't
I didn't
pay
want
your bill.
that. I just didn't know what you meant when you said it's off the table.
Here's what's going on right now. There's a bill, SB 1040, that's in play this week. SB 1040 on to repeal the SRA fees. Offered by Senator Negrete McLeod. She is in an area that's heavily impacted, but she's in Southern California. Well, people are impacted across the state. This is tied to a passage of a bill of AB 1500. And AB 1500 returns the state to a tax system called single sales factor. Right now, about 3-4 years ago, legislature gave corporations the ability to go and pay their sales tax in a number of different ways. This would return us to a single sales factor, which would increase the corporate sales tax primarily to companies that do business out of the state, companies that are located out of the state or internationally. So some people are going to call this a tax increase. Well, Senator Negrete McLeod is tying her SB 1040 to the passage of this AB 1500. It'll all happen by Friday. We'll know whether this is going to happen or not. So by Friday, the SRA fees could be repealed. They may not be repealed. That's why I'm telling people you need to stay abreast of the information, but definitely pay your bills if you haven't heard contrary to that.
And as I guess you can tell, politics usually isn't very straightforward, especially in California.
Well, and the other interesting thing about this, and we're going to get into Prop 30, the governor's initiative, but if this SB 1500 passes, it gives the money, the extra money generated, to fund middle-class scholarships to higher education. If this does not happen, you have Prop 39 on the ballot, which deals with the single sales factor. And if it passes, it dedicates the proceeds to energy and environmental issues. So the governor, in all intents and purposes, does not want a competing bill with his. As far as education, he would like Prop 39 off the table. So at this point, I think he's hoping that this might happen by Friday. The repeal is done. He doesn't want SRA fees repealed, but he wants this Prop 39 off the table. There's just a lot of play in Sacramento right now what's going to happen, and we don't know. But this is where we're at as far as the SRA fees. But I will tell people, pay your SRA fee, tax, whatever you call it, unless you hear contrary on the airways. Because I don't want to see people get in a situation of being penalized.
That's interesting. And to point something out, you know, Susie, my wife, found like last Friday, and I think you probably know this as well, but the bill said, you know, this is due by, you know, by such a date, and then there's a new one coming in January.
Oh, whole new row of
because this we're getting charged for the whole, you know, the whole year, but I guess must be, I don't know, some kind of retroactive kind of a thing. With a full fee.
It's a mess. I mean, the whole SRA fee process they created was a mess because they didn't deal with counties, they didn't deal with the assessors.
And well, what it is too is within a few months' time, California needs $300 from us. In other words,
and the the SRA fees are not going to balance CAL FIRE's $50 million hole in their budget. They're not going to. The bill that created SRA fees in rural areas said that they were going to provide grants for fire prevention. There is no money for that because they've even said, CAL FIRE said, most of the money is going to administration, so there'll be no money for the fire prevention grants until at least 2017.
So the money, though, that was taken from CAL FIRE, that was money that CAL FIRE was using to fight fires? Well, or the ability for them to?
CAL FIRE was required to reduce their budget. Well, the problem is, by reducing it, they got a $50 million hole in their budget. I'm not going to blame CAL FIRE for any of this, including the SRA fees, because they didn't want to be.
They didn't want their budget cut.
They're a political puppet, though, in this whole thing. Right. And when the governor and the legislature get together and pass an unrealistic budget with revenue assumptions that are high and expenses that are way too high in the budget, then it creates this kind of a problem. And you have your state agencies wondering, what do we do? And CAL FIRE is stuck in that role now of
I guess
being the enforcer.
What I was trying to allude to is, like, CAL FIRE has a mission, and part of the mission is to help, it's to put fires out.
Right.
But this money that was taken from them and the money that's coming back, but that money is not to help put fires out.
That's right. And CAL FIRE is a statewide firefighting. Statewide. They've been in every county, and I used to work for corrections. CAL FIRE has been in all areas, SRA fees or not, and they're also an agency that responds to emergencies throughout the state, earthquakes and other calamities that happen.
Right, and I agree with you. This is, I'm in no way slamming CAL FIRE and the people that work for them. This is our strange budgeting thing in California is what I'm slamming, if anything.
Well, we have another strange issue with the governor's initiative. You know, he's in direct competition with the Molly Munger initiative, and as I said, they put out a letter asking the state school PTA to stop bad-mouthing the governor's initiative. Well, the state PTA was supporting the Munger initiative heavily because that money directly goes to schools. As you said, I don't know if schools need any more money or not. It seems like they have a lot of administration and not a lot of money sometimes, but for the kids. The governor's initiative, though, has a lot of other changes to it. It has some constitutional protections for counties. It continues the appropriation for the realignment monies that go to social services, Mental Health Services Act, and other areas. On the other hand, it's taking away some of the state mandates that bills, legislation that have been passed that have mandates with them. Well, they were required to say there's a state mandate attached to that. Now they're just saying there's no longer a state mandate. Counties, you're responsible for it. Well, we appreciate that for county. We really appreciate that. That now they're not giving us the money anymore. They're not calling it a mandate now. They're just requiring us to do it, which puts us in another situation.
Can we call it a mandate?
What's that?
Can we call it a mandate?
We can, but I don't know if it's going to do any good. This will also have substantial tax increases attached to it. Okay. And the governor said if all this doesn't happen, everything's out the window as far as changes. But it increases the tax rate from 9.3% to 10.3% for people earning $250,000, 11.3% for people earning $300,000, 12.3% for people earning over $500,000. It increases the state sales tax by 1/4 cent, and this will go on through January 1st of 2017.
Okay. So California is using a system too of like tax the rich, you know, with the same as long the Democrat national.
You can say tax the rich. I call it social warfare. Right. You're attacking those people that, okay, they have money, they're making money, but they're also going out and creating jobs. They're owning companies. They're employing people. You're totally attacking those people that sometimes are the people that are creating jobs in our economy, and you're going to penalize them more. And mind me, I don't mind contributing money where I see it's going to good areas in our state, but until our state cleans up its house, then I'm not sure people are going to be receptive to paying any more in taxes. And that's the one that hits everybody is that 1/4 cent sales tax that goes from now until 2017. The governor's already said he'll have major reductions in K-12, UC, and CSU college financing, CAL FIRE's firefighting responsibilities. There it is again, reductions in state park rangers, fish and game wardens, fish and game personnel, law enforcement, and then reductions for other floodplain mapping and things like that. So the governor's basically putting the word out there. If you don't pass for this, there's going to be some major hits.
Okay, Richard, you know, in city government, and not city government, excuse me, let's say county government, with our budget hits, we've gotten rid of, not a nice way to say it, but a lot of personnel that a lot of people would maybe say are paper pushers. This bill...
not necessarily. A lot of those positions were critical too, but our county is down almost 30% on employees from where we were 5 years ago.
Right. I wanted to put it like, to say that might be the name for it. But when you read these bills, they're talking about like, probably critical positions that are, boots on the ground positions here that are actually helping people that are first targeted to cut.
Yeah, and the problem with our state is they keep passing new rules and regulations. They're not mindful of the budget. They're not mindful of the impact that's having on not only the state but on counties. So every time they pass new rules and regulations, for instance, the Air Resources Control Board, the State Water Board, they're starting new programs that require funding that just isn't there. So, for instance, the State Water Board is out now with new rules and regulations where they're going to charge significantly more money. Just this last week it came out that they're attacking individuals who have ponds on their property that are subject to state oversight. Well, they've never had that oversight, and now they're starting to enforce those programs. How do they do that? They go out and hire new regulators that come into our counties. So it's going to have a major impact on all people. We just want Sacramento to stay out of our county, but unfortunately we're too close. They like coming up here for the day and being up in a nice rural county that's being impacted by state rules and regulations.
Okay, and we have 30 seconds left. You want to tell people, invite them on down to the agenda tomorrow?
Yeah, the main issues, the Sutter Gold Mine, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interest there, but talking about Prop 30 and 31 and getting our board's position on that. These are big issues, and if you don't read it and study it, you're not going to do it in one night before you go into the polling location.
Right, and even though your eyes might want to glaze over, you probably ought to dig in there. I'm Tom Slivick. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time on TSPN. You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.